everybody. Welcome. We are doing our first episode ever of our actual podcast. We kind of did a trial run to see how things would work. How long ago was that, Becky?
Maybe the beginning of February.
Yeah. And now we've decided that maybe we want to share with you some more. So here we are.
Yay!
We are going to call our podcast the Granny Pan Podcast.
Granny Pan Knits Podcast.
Granny Pan Knits.
Yes.
And we have a story behind that.
Yeah, well, let's introduce ourselves first.
Yes.
I'm Becky.
And I'm Wendy. And I'm Becky's mom.
And I'm Wendy's daughter.
And we love to knit and make other crafty things. And so we figured that this would be a great way to share with you.
Yeah.
So how did knitting get started in our family?
Our granny knit for everyone. My mom's granny, so my great granny, Granny Winsome, she was the sweater knitting wonder. Really, she knit all the kids, all the grandkids, all the great-grandkids.
Totally true. She was a prolific knitter, and she was very fast at it. And I can remember as a little girl sitting next to her and watching her knit and just being fascinated by it. I loved it. She used to let me, she was also from South Africa with an English background, so she spoke with an English and South African accent, and she would say, "Now you sit here, my angel, and pull the wool for me." Meaning that I could just like pull the wool out of the skein for her. It gave me something to do, and I was in love with it. So I wanted to learn how to knit, and she was very fast, like I said, and it was hard for her to slow down and be able to teach me, so I never did get her to teach me what she was doing, but I was fascinated by the yarn, and I was a yarnie from the time I was probably about 8 years old. So when it came time for me to be able to craft, I was a little bit nervous because I don't have 10 fingers. This is a birth defect. I was born without these two. And so I was nervous about working two needles when I only had one whole hand and one half a hand. So one of my aunts, Aunt Joyce actually, taught me how to crochet. Because she said, well, you might not be able to knit, but you can crochet. So I started crocheting when I was probably about 10 years old and crocheted for eons. Yeah, for a long time before I finally decided when we inherited Granny Winsome's stash of yarn. I just determined, I don't care how many fingers I have, I am freaking going to learn how to knit. So
I love that.
that's kind of where it came from me. So I've been knitting for probably about 10 years now. So Becky, how did you start knitting?
Well, Mom tried to teach me how to knit with her. We bought books. It was before like YouTube tutorials were really popular, so we bought a book and tried to read it to learn to knit. And Mom did a little bit better. She did a little bit more knitting. I kind of didn't really get into knitting seriously till I was expecting my son. He's 2 years old now, and I just wanted to knit things for him. So I sat down and I finished a little sweater, and I knitted him a little blanket, and so, yeah.
Yeah.
So the knowledge was there.
You did make things before. Becky's love of yarn stemmed back to the hat looms.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. When I was in elementary school, those looms with the pegs, I used to make hats for all my friends. So I was probably about 10 when I was doing those.
Yeah, she used to crank those out like crazy. And even now, she's a much faster knitter than I am. And you'll get to see she's more prolific than I am too. But it's just a fun passion that we share. And so we thought we'll do a little podcast and be able to share with our families because they'll care. We don't know if anybody else will. But
well, just to look back and see like, oh, here's what we did last year. That's so cool. And I think just looking back to see how much you've grown. I know just every single project, I try something new, like a new technique, and I just have grown so much in what I'm able to do. So it's fun to look back and just kind of watch your progress. So
that is one thing Becky's really good at. She always wants to take on a new project that has something new for her to learn. So hopefully you'll talk a little bit about
Yeah,
that today.
I will when we show ours.
That's cool. So another couple things, just for your FYI, Becky really loves music, and for her, music was kind of her thing in high school. She did musical theater and
Madrigals,
a lot
and
of voice, a lot of singing. So
and all the choirs really
sing a lot, and that's something that we also get from Granny Winsome.
Yeah.
She was
Well, she did organ and stuff.
She was a pianist, and she liked to sing, and so anyway, it's kind of cool because for me too, the knitting is not only preserving what Granny Winsome gave us, but it's also an art form that needs to be cared for and continued.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to do. So and what about me? You might notice I'm wearing an interesting t-shirt today that does not say champion. It says calculus. I am also a math teacher, calculus teacher, and I really honestly think that that's part of the knitting. The patterns, I've always told my students that what math really is a way that we have, it's a language for communicating the pattern that we see in the world around us. And it's kind of what stitching is. Stitching really is harnessing pattern and
Knitting
realizing
is
pattern.
Music is math too. I think that's why I like music so much, and I did so well in music theory because we're just a mathy family.
That's true.
So
they couldn't help it. My kids all. Probably we should silence that. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Just put on silent mode. Huh?
There we go.
Okay. So yeah, all my kids learned math in utero because I've been teaching now for almost, 30 years. I took a brief hiatus in the middle there, but it was 30 years ago when I first got into the classroom. So, and anyway, so that's kind of an introduction to who we are and what we're doing. And we want to show you some of the cool stuffs that we have and that we do. And because we know that it's going to be a lot of family watching this, we're going to try to help each other remember when we slip into the funky knitting jargon to help you know what the heck we're talking about.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, like whip. What do these guys think whip is?
Like whipped cream?
Or whipped cream. Yeah. And
if there's a meaning of a word that's food related, that's the one I think of first.
Yeah. We also kind of like food, huh?
Yeah.
I have a sister who's just starting to do a program with cooking. So that was part of the other reason that I got inspired to do this, is because if Audrey can do her cooking online and put herself out there, then maybe me and Becky can do the same thing.
Did she do some?
Yeah, she's the one. I told you she taught the BLTs last night.
Oh.
Really good stuff.
Gotta watch it. Hi, Audrey.
Okay. So we're going to start with whips.
WIP stands for Work in Progress. Mm-hmm. Just something that we're knitting right now. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Something that we have started on. So
I have many.
Becky has a lot of whips, so maybe she should do a couple first, and then I'll insert mine kind of in the middle of hers, because like I said, Becky's prolific, and we both love yarn, and who can resist putting a new project on the needles?
Not
Perhaps
me.
I should mute Darth Vader.
That's okay. I don't think
it's quite as bad. Okay.
You just outed yourself. She got a text.
I did.
Okay, so I like to have little projects that I can bring with me in the car when my husband's driving. So this is one that I just was like, I need something little, and I threw it in the bag. But I have these gloves that I'm making.
Fingerless gloves.
Fingerless gloves. Because fingers take a long time to knit, and also they don't work for smartphones. So one mostly done.
So they are a very popular thing. Now let's move that out of the way so people can see that pretty cable. So, yeah.
It does want to go. It is want to be.
Well, don't pull it so much. There you go.
There we go. So this pattern is called the Daenerys Mitts. It's free on Ravelry. I can probably tell you who designed it.
We're going to stop for a minute, though, because there's two things that I've already noticed about the whole jargon thing we were talking about. First of all, Ravelry. Ravelry is an online knitting community. You can Google it, and then you can join it, and you can friend us on Ravelry if you like. It's a wonderful resource for all patterny things. And so we both are on there a lot. It also provides you with the space to keep track of every project that you've ever done. So I think I have about 80 projects now on Ravelry that I've done, and I just keep a picture of them, very brief description of what they are.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention too, you can look at this with Becky. We call this a cable. This part right here, most of you have probably heard of cabled stockings or cable knit sweaters, and that's what we call a cable. It's a quick technique. I have a whip of my own that has a bunch of cables in it that will show it.
Oh yeah, that one's really fancy.
So we like to give credit to the people who, number one, create the yarn that we use, because Becky and I are huge fans of designer yarns, and most of them are hand dyed by local people here in Utah. Some we get special from other places, like England and stuff, which is super cool. But and then we also like to give credit to the person who designed the pattern.
Yeah, so that's 2 parts. So I was talking about, this pattern is called Daenerys, after Game of Thrones Daenerys, and this name is in a different language. I'm gonna put you on the spot to read it. These ones right here.
Do you think this is part of the person here?
I don't
think so. Okay, so this is Elena Ayarova and Katerina Rinkova. That's as close as I can get.
It's on Ravelry.com for free. That's where I like to go find a lot of my patterns.
A lot of them are free,
Mm-hmm.
which is very cool.
And so this is one, and I have the cuff. That's the stretchy part here. For the second one, and what I like to do is make sure when I finish the first thing I do is start the second one, because then
So you don't have a lonely glove laying around?
I don't know, it's harder to come back to a project when you have to start over again, so I might as well get it done.
Keep going.
And then this yarn,
I love that color. It's like a melony color. It reminds me of like a kind of a cantaloupe.
this is from the Backcountry Knitter. Mom, you bought this for me at Willow Hill yarn store.
Willow
right?
Hill is our local yarn store, so sometimes you'll see an abbreviation LYS. That means local yarn store. And ours is called Willow Hill, and it's in a place called Gardner Village here in the Salt Lake Valley. That's another thing we didn't say. We live in the Salt Lake Valley, both of us in different suburbs of Salt Lake, but it's easiest to just say Salt Lake. So,
Definitely. So I have this.
the Backcountry Knitter is local, too.
She is.
Local. Do you remember her name? Neither do I. Shoot.
Sorry.
We'll look that up for next time.
I know.
It's what I always tell my students.
Be prepared.
I'll research that for you and get back with you. Today was a stressful day, though, Becky, because they had their AP calculus test, and because of COVID, they had to do it all online.
Oh my gosh.
Hot.
Nightmare.
Yeah, it was pretty nightmarish, so we won't get into that, though. Oh, that's a pretty one, too. Show us that
Yeah,
one.
so these are both from the Backcountry Knitter. This color is Jubilee, and this color is Brouhaha. They're just party fun colors. My mom surprised me with this yarn in January when it's blah outside, so she thought she'd bring me some fun party. Thanks, Mom.
Because I know what we like. We always get each other yarny stuff, so, you know, we can't help it. All right, do you want me to show one of mine next?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do one of mine, and then you can do 2 of yours.
Oh, okay. I'll
Okay,
kinda get 'em
so
ready-ish.
this whip has been in progress for a very long time. And when I say very long time, I mean like 2 years. And that's because you saw the pretty colors that I got for Becky. Well, this is not a beautiful color.
It's a beautiful green.
It's a beautiful mossy green, but it's a lot of it, and there was not a lot of it to capture my attention. So, and it's also a sweater for Becky's dad, for my husband, and it's huge. And so that was also part of the reason why it sat in timeout for almost a year, because I just didn't feel like knitting on it. So I determined, though, that I really wanted to get it done, so I pulled it back out, and there it is.
Oh my goodness.
So this is called the Sorcerer's Sweater, and it is from a book called The Unofficial Harry Potter Knits. And if you look at the cables, I think one of the things that is really appealing to me is that cable right there. It looks very snake-like. It looks very Slytherin. And then there's detailing on the front panel here. You can see that the texture of it kind of stops for this center panel. And then what I'll do for part of the finishing is a bunch of skinny little I-cord. And we will put that on the front and scroll it around and make some fancy dancy scrolling on the front. But so sorry, we're so sorry about the interruption there. I guess it's going to be 2 separate now.
Yeah.
2 separate videos, okay.
Well, you can maybe edit them together.
Yeah, so John will be very excited to see this one. This is a cool sweater, so
yay!
There you go. And I've got one sleeve on. And so this is how much of the other sleeve I have done.
Yay!
So I'm actually really, really close. Next time we podcast, hopefully this will be an FO, which stands for what, Becky?
Finished object.
A finished object. And that will be so wonderful to have done. And then I have plans to cast on bunches of stuff. But I've been pretty monogamous about one project and not spreading myself out because I just want this thing done and I don't have it hanging over my head anymore. Okay.
Nike, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yep.
I love it. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Okay. My turn again. Okay, another little on-the-go project that I have is this is going to be a sock. So here's the leg of the sock, and this goes behind the heel. This is the heel flap. And look how fun that stripe is.
Oh my goodness.
The stripy heel.
So the stripy heel is cool, but can they see enough, let's get close enough that the light hits it? This is what we call a self-striping yarn. And so Becky didn't create those stripes herself, but the yarn is doing that automatically for her.
Kind of pooly.
That is really fun.
So it's fun. This pattern is called No Surprises. It's by our friend Kim, Hugga Canyon. And she actually had a giveaway where I won a copy of all her sock patterns. That she has a series that is all based on different songs of her family's vinyl collection. So this, if you can see, it's very ribbed texture, kind of like the ribbing on a vinyl.
Grab my phone really quick.
Okay. So I just think that's really fun. So thanks, Kim. And then this yarn, this is Malabrigo yarn, and it's red and brown.
Oh my goodness.
And I got it $12 on clearance at Willow Hill. Where I make my purchases.
That was a Malabrigo.
Yeah, this is a Malabrigo.
And it stripes like that.
Well, it's just pooling. But yeah.
That's cool. That's
a
really
ziggy
cool.
zag. It's kind of fun.
I'm going to answer the person who talked to me really quick. I don't mean to be rude, but you keep talking.
No, we can pause it. It's
No.
okay.
You keep talking.
I'm boring. I don't have anything to talk.
Show the next whip.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the first sock of 2. I'll probably have it done before we come back. I don't know how often we're going to come together. We'll see. But if it's 2 months like last time in between, then it might be a minute.
Maybe.
It probably will be done. Speaking of probably done, this one is actually mostly done. Does that mean it's an AFO, almost finished object?
No, it's still.
It's off the needles.
It's off the needles. Oh wow, then maybe you're right.
Baby pants. You guys. These are so fun. I've loved this cute self-striping yarn. And it's perfect for babies. This is from Hobby. I found this yarn on like a Facebook ad. Hobby Tivoli. And it's just the cutest little pair of pants. And I just have the ends to weave in and this to sew up. But this is for a friend of mine. They're having a little girl sometime in the next week or 2. She'll make her big arrival, so I've got some sweater pants. I think I just got tired of making the same shapes of hats and sweaters, so I just wanted to do something new. Like I said, I always want to do something new, so I kind of really want big ones for me.
That will take forever.
Not really.
Listen, this is one of the beautiful things about knitting for a baby is that you get the immediate satisfaction of a finished project, and it is so cute.
Here's Happy
I
Pants.
love it. I'm getting a weird sun on me, so I'm going to shift it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. And the pattern. Oh, I don't have it
See,
printed.
you could put this on with like a little onesie.
Oh yeah, I
And,
got
oh
one.
my gosh, and this is such soft, squishy yarn. I love the squish of yarn.
I'm pulling up the pattern real quick. This one is called Hosen Mats. The screen. It's this
Are you
pattern.
saying that it's another one in a foreign language?
Hosen Mats.
There
That's
you
what
go.
it is.
Sounds German or something.
I think because Hosen is pants, right?
Later Hosen.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
So that might just be knit. Mats? I don't know. I was gonna look it up and I forgot because I'm mean.
that sounds like a really good guess to me. So I'm gonna say sure. Sure.
Yeah. This is Lanade or Lanade and Lanade. This is a free pattern on their website. They have a blog that they do
There you
patterns.
go.
There you go.
Love it.
Recommend. It's just very simple pants pattern.
So in other words, you don't have to go to Ravelry to get free patterns. You can find them
Yeah.
all over the place.
They're everywhere.
I have this friend that I really like to ask whenever I want stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember, their name starts with G and ends with Oogle.
Google. The Google.
The Google!
Yeah, you can just Google what
Google
you want to
free
make.
knitting pattern pants for babies, and ta-da!
Ta-da!
There
I
you
think
go.
I'm going to make at least 2 more because I have 2 more mamas having babies soon, so.
And that yarn is so cute. Tell them where you got the yarn. She actually got
did.
us hooked on this yarn, did you?
Yeah.
Tell
You can
her.
say the story, though.
The Hobie yarn.
Hobby. Yeah,
Hobby
it's
yarn.
from, like, Sweden or Norway.
Hobbi. I think it comes from Sweden.
Yeah.
And so it comes in a big shipment. But the cool thing about this yarn is it's only like $2.25 a ball. I mean, it's really a good price.
Very affordable.
And then so I got on after she told me about it, and they were having a clearance, and it was like $1.50 a ball. And it's acrylic, which is great for babies because it's totally washable. It's not going to be a scary like a wool trying to wash a baby.
It's not going to fail.
Because these are baby pants, and we all know accidents happen in baby pants.
They're going to get pooped in.
Yeah, they're gonna get messy. So acrylic yarn is beautiful for that, and this also has the self-striping element to it. So I don't know, I just have been totally impressed. I've made a couple baby hats out of it already, and it's really a neat yarn to use.
My new favorite baby yarn.
Hobbi. You can go check that one out because unlike the designer yarns that tend to be expensive, that's very affordable yarn. You
Yes.
just have to wait for a while for it to come from Sweden, and then hope that the mailman puts it on the right porch, because sometimes that's happened to us before.
I've gone down the street. Did you get my package? Did you get my package? I went down. I'm stuck down.
Package. It says it was
It says it was delivered.
So yeah, it can be a little frustrating. I think you better do one more.
One more. Okay.
I only have one more. I only have one more
whip.
whips. Oh, we should have maybe started with finished.
That's okay.
Okay.
Ta-da! Big bag.
You made me one that matches that.
Yeah, we have matching bags.
Because Becky likes to make bags too. She's getting good at it.
So those are my like little projects, and then I like to have a big project that is not too complicated. That's just
Mindless.
mindless. You can sit and watch like a show you have to pay attention to. That you have a simple pattern, something simple and big to knit.
But you're still keeping your hands busy.
Yeah, always busy.
Yeah.
So I have a baby beginning of a shawl.
Is that one all going to be that color?
No.
And that is purely stockinette. So, do
Yeah.
we want to talk about what stockinette is?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, you show.
So stockinette looks like this, and most of your clothes, like if you have a t-shirt, if you look really close, you can see the little V's. That's like your basic knitting stitch.
And you can tell it's stockinette because the back is obviously back.
Yeah, so there's the front, and then the back is like this.
Mm-hmm. Which is all the purl stitches.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of garments are made in stockinette, and some are made in what is called reverse stockinette, which means you
But you wear this on the outside.
Yep, wear it inside out, basically.
Yeah.
And then there's another quick stitch we can show you on this too called garter stitch. And that's what's going on the edge of this that makes it look kind of bumpy. And garter stitch is formed when you do all knitting and no purling, which makes it so that there's not a front and a back. So that's all interesting stuff to know. So what's going to happen later in this pattern, Becky? Do you have the pattern to show us what it's going to look like?
I print the pattern, but I don't print the first page because it uses more ink. So I don't have a picture of it finished.
But there's a diagram here, though. Is it boring?
It's just a triangle shapes.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to make a big triangle.
Does it have any lace or anything in it?
No, so this one is the Studio 54 shawl by our friend Christy, Yarn Cafe Creations.
Oh, it's another one of our local friends, Christy Houghton.
Yes. And
I get a lot of yarn from Christy. I'm a Christy fan.
She's one of my favorite yarn dyers. So this, it starts out this color, and then what I'm doing is I have this skinny yarn. There's different weights of yarn. So this yarn is fingering weight, like sock weight. It's skinny yarn.
Use it to make a sock with.
And what I'm doing is I'm holding 2 strands to make it twice as thick. And then what's going to happen is the next section, I'm going to cut one of these tan ones and I'm going to add a blue. So it's going to have a marled effect. And what it's going to do is stripes where they're like marled and then solid. And so I have these 3.
Ooh, then you're going to marl it with that one.
This one too that has some purples.
So where did these yarns come from then?
So this one is a Yarnberry yarn.
That's our friend Emily, also known as Queen Emily.
Yes, Queen Emily. She does mystery yarn sets sometimes, and this is one of her Harry Potter ones. This is Unfogging the Future.
Ooh.
From Harry Potter book. She also
does
a lot of book inspired.
That's the divination. The divination textbook.
The divination.
Nice.
So it's mostly blue, but it's got a little bit of black and purple speckles in it.
Yeah, and it's like foggy.
Yeah.
That makes sense that it would be called unfogging because it's kind of it's got a lot of depth of color.
Yeah.
We call that being tonal when it's got different tones of the blue in it.
Yeah, and grays.
And gray.
So pretty. And then these 2 are both from Hugh Loco.
Oh, Hugh Loco is a dyer in Colorado.
Yes.
Yeah, her name is Nicole.
And her yarn is for sale at Willow Hill.
Oh,
That's
is that where you got that?
Not
Not online from Hugh Loco, but actually from Willow Hill.
Emily at Willow Hill, she gave me this in a drawing. I won it. And this was on clearance.
No fair.
Can you tell
you
I
win everything? She does. Anytime you put her in a drawing, she wins stuff. So that's very
It's
cool.
my one superpower.
There you go.
It's a pretty good one.
That and knitting.
So yeah, I'm almost to the part where I get to add in the blue, and it's gonna stripe and be fun. So that'll be more fun to see next time how the different stripes are going.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually have. That's my dream knit. Is
Here
like
I
that.
have
My dream knit works like that too. Oh, here you go.
a chart. It's gonna look like this with the color stripes.
That's gonna be gorgeous.
There we go.
So fun.
I stole this graph paper from my math teacher, Mom.
There you go. There's plenty of it around. Okay, shall I show my other whip?
Yeah.
All right, so my other whip that I started going on, this is before I really decided to commit to that one, and so it's kind of been on hold for a little while.
This is so messy.
And this one is in this beautiful bag from a lady named Jody Brown. She has a company called Mrs. Brown's Bags. If you haven't ever seen her, you should go look for her. She's hilarious. So, yeah, they have a podcast called the Grocery Girls Podcast, and you should check that one out if you haven't before. All right, so this one I made with some yarn that's been in my stash for a while. So for those of you who don't know, stash means all the yarn that is sitting around waiting to get knitted. And so when we say we inherited yarn from Granny Winsome, we inherited her stash. So this yarn that I'm working on looks kind of like this. It's really funky looking. It's got a lot of flecks of plain yarn in it, and we call this a single ply yarn. So It's really interesting, and I think that some of these little white pieces that you see are actually silk in this one. So I wonder if I have my ball band here that will tell me exactly what it was called. I had it at one point, but looks like I don't have it in here. So anyway, there's that, and this one is this orange. I decided to put orange in it.
Oh yeah.
So there's orange in it too, and I think that this one was from Christy, Yarn Cafe Creations. It's a little bit bulkier weight, or an Aran weight yarn, which I think is just really pretty. And so I put these together to make a poncho. So this particular pattern was written by, help me out with her name, Becky, do you remember? It's called
Is it Gigi's?
Orange Love, and it is Gigi.
Gigi
and
made
Gigi's
it?
name is Gay Gillespie, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
There it is, Gay Gillespie. So there's a picture of it on her. I don't want to show like the secrets of the pattern because it is a pattern that we had to pay for to get. And you can see that it's just a big triangular poncho, and it's got some cabling on the edge of it. It's just really pretty. This lady is known for the fact that she loves orange. And in fact, the name of the poncho is Orange Love. And so I had the yarn in my stash that I wanted to use, but in homage to the creator of the pattern, I'm going to be putting in a stripe of orange. And you'll notice that this stripe is a vertical stripe, which is a lot different than putting in a horizontal stripe and just working for 1 or 2 rows. But this is one of the techniques that Granny Winsome was really well known for. It's called intarsia. So when you switch from one color yarn to another color yarn like that, both of these ends came from the same ball, although you see this one has more of the burgundy color in it and this one has more of the tan color in it. And this will just be like a giant rectangle that I sew the ends together to make a poncho.
Yay!
It's pretty cool. It's got all these fun little, I don't know if you can see, they've got bobblies and cables, and so it's a fun pattern. I can't wait to get back to this one. This will be another one.
Once you get that sweater, this one's gonna grow so fast.
That's true, because although it's not totally mindless because the cables and the bobbles, it still goes pretty fast. So
because it's fun,
and it is fun.
I love.
So I'm excited for that
things
one.
that
That'll
are
be
fun to make.
That'll be a pretty one to have finished for the fall. So
Yay!
okay, your turn again, Becky.
Okay, this is my last whip, I promise. Usually I don't have so many, but I started 2 new things on Sunday. It was Mother's Day, and I was like, I want to knit what I want to knit. And so I cast it on and started 2 new things.
Show them the bag that this one's enough.
This is one of the first bags I ever sewed. It's not very great, but it is mermaids, so that makes it great.
That makes it great. Mermaids are great.
And you know what month it is? Mermaid.
Mermaid.
So I needed a mermaid project.
There you go. That makes sense to me.
Here's the yarn I'm using. Now look how mermaid this yarn looks. It has sparkles.
Can they see the sparkles in the camera?
I can see.
I can see them.
I can see in the camera.
That's a nice thing about being at home.
It has these
outside.
aqua blue and purple and pink and a little bit of orange speckles.
It looks like the ocean.
Yes. Now this yarn is from one of our favorite dyers, Christy, Yarn Cafe Creations.
Christy again.
Back at it again. This is her colorway. It's actually a My Little Pony colorway. It's called Princess Celestia. She's one of the ponies, I guess.
One of the ponies? Okay.
And then I'm making a hat.
There you go.
And this pattern is called the brush stroke hat. It's one that I made for our friend Queen Emily last year, and I wanted to make it again, one for myself. But when I chose this last year, I chose it because I wanted to learn new stitches.
Right
so
to the camera there. Oh yeah.
This one on the brim is called brioche, where see it has like the front knit and then like back, but it also looks like it's knit. Kind of a stitch, and it's stretchy and fun, and it's very thick, so it'll be warm on the ears. And then this stitch is called a herringbone. It kind of looks like a herringbone braid, which I grew up calling fishtail braid. Mermaids have fishtails. Mermaid project. This is my
in a mermaid yarn.
This is my mermaid hat.
We're gonna
it's
have
for
to.
me. Everything
We're gonna have to
I
go
make
and find
for
a good
me.
pom pom to put on that one. So.
Yeah, Mom said I could have one of hers.
More to come
so.
later on that one.
Yay! But that one's fun. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start with my FOs now because Becky has cuter FOs and mine are FOs that everybody's seen because, well, I say seen because we did a little demo of this podcasting idea, like we said in February, and I showed most of these in February. So I'm gonna start with this one just because it's the biggest one, and this one I worked on for about 2 years because my son went to go live in the Dominican Republic for 2 years. He was on a mission for our church, and so he went to help the people in the Dominican Republic. And while he was gone, I decided that I would do a square every month while he was gone, and then put them together in, ta-da!
Yay!
Big old blanket.
It's beautiful.
So I have some squares that came from yarn that our friend Renee donated. Then I went and bought some that was the same kind of yarn, and I think that's Karen Cakes is what those are. And then I found some really pretty yarns, like this one from Hole in the Wool, which I love, and I think this one down here is also Hole in the Wool. So I just kind of collected whatever scraps of wool yarn I could find, and some of it's acrylic too. And then for fun, I don't like the way the back of stockinette looks, and these are stockinette squares. So on the back, I found a really soft minky, and I sewed it to the back so that he would have this super cuddly, and the weight from the knitting is just beautiful. And I love the way it turned out, don't you, Becky?
Yes, I do. I just love it so much.
Pretty.
And Aaron loves it too.
Yes.
He's always been a snuggler, so to have a snuggly blankie like this.
It was a great idea for him because that's just kind of what he's all about.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put that one on the chair over there.
Yeah,
I know. Now you can snuggle it.
luxurious.
Do you have a FO to show?
I have many.
Do you want to show one of yours, or do you want me to keep going?
I'll show this one.
Cute. Okay.
Okay, remember it's May. Dun, 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 dun.
May the 4th be
This is
with
Baby
you.
Yoda, and I made him for May the
Put him
4th.
right up close to the camera.
May the 4th be with you. Look, he's
Look
so
how
cute.
he is.
This one's actually crocheted, not knit. This is the first time I tried something called amigurumi, and it's really fun. I think I'm gonna make more toys. This is actually for our friend who is graduating high school this year. I thought he needed.
Does he love Star Wars?
Yeah, he does. He loves Star Wars.
He needs a little, maybe a button right there or
Maybe a
something
button.
to keep this closed. That
That's
can be
true.
like underneath here and hidden, but still do
Yeah.
its job or something.
He wants to be like, wow. But look in there. He has little feet with little toes.
He's pretty dang cute.
He's
Becky.
cute.
Yeah. Amigurumi are awesome. They're so fun.
I showed him to my husband when it was done, and my husband said, "Don't give that to Jared.
I want that.
I want it." And I said, "Well, it's for him." He's like, "Well, just make another one." Okay.
Okay.
Just
So.
make more.
More Baby
Maybe-
Yodas to come.
Maybe for next year, I'll make one for my husband.
He's so cute.
But I just love
I did a
him.
tiny one once upon a time. It was an R2D2. I think it's at school.
Did you watch The Mandalorian?
I did with the Baby Yoda, for sure.
Watch it if you haven't. Baby Yoda is worth it.
He's very cute. All right.
It's the Baby Yoda show.
That one was the Baby Yoda. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's like its actual name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so while I'm showing blankets, this one is actually a whip too, I think. I wasn't thinking about it as a whip, but it is a whip. So I have started a granny square blanket, but it's giant granny squares.
Yay!
Because I don't want to have to join them all together at the end. So I think I showed this one last time, but I think I was showing it like off screen because we didn't know how to look at ourselves and see what we were doing very well back then. I love this one. This one is also crochet, so it kind of goes nicely with the crochet that Becky was doing. And the nice thing about it is I've got this stitch sewed down that I can do it in the dark. So a lot of this one was actually done in movie theaters when we still were allowed to go to movie theaters.
Miss movies.
I know. And then I've
how
actually done a
little these
bunch
are.
too in our basement, even with the light off. So I love it too, and I love the bright blue there, kind of in the middle. That peacock blue, I think, is really pretty. It looks a little darker on the camera than it does in real life. It's really more of a greeny peacock color. And then the reason that I say it's a whip is because what I decided to do was go to where this would be big enough that I needed the stripes to actually be thick enough that you could see the color. So once like the stripe of green got so narrow that you couldn't see what was going on with the green, then I thought, okay, I'm not going to keep going because the size of these are called mini skeins. They're 20-ounce mini skeins that it's mostly made of. This was leftover sock yarn in the middle, but they're all very tiny, and so the bigger your square gets, the thinner your stripes get, and I didn't want the stripes to get so thin that you wouldn't really be able to see the color of the yarn. So
this is really pretty.
So I decided to start another one. Isn't it so fun? And I am doing it on quite a small hook. This is an F.
Did you drop it? I'll look for it.
It's there somewhere. Oh, it's right back. Anyway, it's an F or size 5 hook. I think it's a 5. Is it a 5 next to the F? You have better eyes than me.
F, yeah, size 5. 3.75 millimeter
Needle. And this is the second square for it. So
Oh,
what
is
I
it finished?
decided to do, it's very close. And what I decided to do for this one was to, or for the blanket, is to make like 4 or maybe even 6 of these and sew them together. But yeah, it's getting to where this one's about done as well.
Yay.
And I love the blue in this one too. Most of this one is yarn by our friend Tristan. And she has a company called Dragon Horde Yarns. This center one, I don't know if you can see the sparkle in that
It's
or not.
gold sparkle?
This one has gold sparkle in it.
Wow.
And she dyed this one in honor of our favorite band, Queen. It's called Bohemian Rhapsody. And then a lot of the other colors actually came from a set that Christy, who's Tristan's mom, so that Tristan and her mom did together for a Harry Potter Advent calendar. So we've got this bright orange one is called Time Turner. And the bright blue right here, I'm trying to remember what, I think it was called Patronus. So there are a bunch that came from her that I just think are so pretty. I'm going to put them up close so everybody can see them really good because they are so pretty. So this is just such a fun blanket. And this blanket will be my main cuddle because, yeah, well, because I made it. And because I love it. So, yeah. So anyway,
Yay.
that's a whip that's almost an FO. So I think I have like 6 more rounds on this one, and then it'll be the same as this one.
Those are
So,
pretty.
yeah, I can even like hold them up next to each other and see how much bigger it has to be. Let's see.
I was gonna say it looked about
Yeah. See, it's
just a
about
little
that.
bit.
Just a
Like
little
three
bit.
rounds maybe.
Right, and then it'll be good. So
Woohoo! Here is your hook.
hook back with it so that
Your
it doesn't
hook,
get
my
lost.
lady.
Okay, how about your next one, Becky?
Okay. This is my most recent finished object. Da, 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 da. I made a whole sweater.
I love it!
Yay!
Oh my goodness!
It's cropped. See?
So shorty
Short.
sweater.
Short sleeves.
So you would
and-
wear it like over a dress, probably.
Yeah, with a dress or with a skirt that goes up to
longer-
your waist.
Or a longer t-shirt under it, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, you could do what you want.
That's true. It's very cute. Okay, so tell us about the yarn and the pattern.
Okay, so the yarn, I did a lot of this from my stash, which means just, yarn that I had. That I thought, hey, those will look good together. Making a sweater. So, well, I'll start with the white. The white is just undyed yarn that I ordered.
I need some of that. I want some of that.
Well, I had to buy it in a set of 5, so you can have one.
Sweet. Okay.
And then this aqua, is that, would you say that's
Yeah,
aqua?
aqua.
Aqua color This is from Christie's Yarn Cafe Creations. This is Sugar Quills. She had like a Harry Potter named Bright Fun Colors. She came out with last fall. That's from my mom for my birthday. She got me it. This color right here, this is called Honeydukes. It's from Tristan Dragon Horde Yarn. This is a very special yarn to me because I bought that skein probably 2 years ago, and that's right at the point where I started really getting into knitting and like hand-dyed yarn, and I think that was the first time I saw a picture of a yarn on Instagram and thought, oh,
I need that.
I need that. That's my yarn. Link, click, buy, add to cart. So it's just been sitting there waiting, and I finally used it, and I love it. So yeah, happy. This black one is called Shadows. It's also from Tristan. She did that one. And then this pink.
With the speckly.
With this speckledy pink. It's
Yeah,
got
it
like
is
some
speckly.
neon yellow and some purples in there.
Wait a minute.
What?
I'm trying to guess.
Oh,
hedgehog fibers.
Hedgehog fibers.
Yeah.
She also bought me that one for my birthday. At
Willow
Hill. We like to support our yarn store, especially right now. She can't be open all the time, so
That's true. So we've been over there more times than we
she might
can
have got more business from us than normal.
Probably. Because we were like, don't go out of business. We don't know what we would do without Emily. She's awesome. Hi, Emily Kern.
Hi. And this pattern is a free pattern. It is by a girl called Morgan. More Thunder is her Instagram handle, and she is a very cute person. She's adorable. I love her. She has all these fun colorwork sweaters that she designs. She lives in a tiny house, and she posts videos taking care of her cute little plants. She's just the cutest. She's the happiest person. But she had this fun knit along. This is her Ladyfingers sweater that every day for 2 weeks she put out the next like instructions or the next clue. And so I made this along with like 1,000 other people.
That's
all
awesome.
making it at the same
You may
time.
have seen it. You can follow the hashtag Ladyfinger Sweater.
Yeah, it's really fun to look and see everyone's different colors. And what I did a little different with mine is I skipped, the pattern says to do like fingers all the way, but I skipped so it would kind of look like a piano, 2, 3, 2, 3, because I like music and playing the piano, so I did mine a little different.
There you go.
But yeah, I love it. This is my first colorwork sweater. I thought I would start easy with just this switch
Simple
every
color.
3. Very
Colorwork's
simple.
one of my favorite things to do, so yeah.
Yeah, so this is learning something new for me, and I never had done a yoked sweater, so the shape of the sweater and the colorwork, that's my learning something new pattern choice for this year. Just
There you
kidding,
go.
every single one is a new thing. What do you have?
I have something that I'm trying to conquer, and that is my fear of knitting socks, because the knitting is so tiny. So I have this finished object. It was almost finished in February, but I made these socks out of something called a sock blank, which is a different way of dyeing yarn. Instead of dyeing it in a skein, in a round hank of yarn, this is actually knit up in a flat stockinette knit, and then they put the dye on it. And then when you take it undone and re-knit it into a sock, it makes some fun patterns. So, and this is what we would call a vanilla sock. I started doing this with the Meanwhile at the Castle ladies. That's Deborah and Emily, and I followed their pattern. And their tutorials, which are fabulous, on how to just knit a normal, regular, average, everyday sock. So we would say this one started at the cuff, and then you knit down from the cuff, creating a heel flap, which is what Becky had on hers. And this is called a gusset right here, where you get this triangular part of the sock. And anyway, that's my one, and here's the other.
Yay.
And I made them in the school colors of the school that I teach at now, which is called Mountain Ridge High School, and their school colors are gray and red. So there's my finished socks. And I gotta tell you, with COVID going on, I've been wearing these a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to put them inside of shoes. So, and they are wonderful. They're warm without making your feet hot, which is one of the most glorious things about knitting with wool. People think wool is always hot, but actually wool is very breathable. And so it's kind of like wearing a leather jacket. You know, it keeps you warm when you need it to, but it doesn't suffocate you because it's not artificial polyester type stuff. It's true fabric, or true, what do I want to call it, natural fabric.
Fibers.
So, natural fibers that make this fabric. There you go.
Fancy. Okay, Mom, when did you start making those?
I started these last July, and then I finished them about a month ago, so.
Yay.
Yeah, most people can just knock out socks. Me, it's so tiny. What I need to do, Becky, is go get new bifocals, and then it probably won't hurt my eyes as bad.
Or you could get one of those, like, things, the magnifying glass that you sit on your chest. Like when you do your needle.
That, and
you can get that,
and light.
And the
it can have a light on
light.
one. Oh, that would be classy. And then for my hot flashes, I could get the little fan thing, and I could be totally hooked up. No. Okay. Anyway, and moving on.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked why when you had started those is because that is the same time I started these.
More fingerless mitts.
Yay! We went on a camping trip together last July. And I had started these mittens. They have these cable braids going around, and they have beads. And that's what was so exciting for me when I found this pattern was, oh, I've never had beads before. So I had to try them.
You know, Becky's been a crafter since she was tiny. When she was 8 and I asked her what she wanted for her birthday, she said something to do.
Yeah.
And it took me about a year to figure out that what she wanted was crafts. She wanted to be able to make things. So.
Something to make.
Yep.
But these are nice and long.
Oh,
Pretty.
and again, you can use your cell phone. That's why these are so popular now, is because everybody's got their cell
I
phones.
can play my piano.
That's right. There you go.
You can do everything. And then, of course, because I had leftovers, I had to make matching socks.
Oh my goodness! What? Look
So
how cute those are! So cute.
These are a shorty sock, and they're pretty vanilla. But then on the top, I kind of copied the braid from the glove. And then this sock set is from our friend Emily, the Yarnbrarian. This is another Harry Potter mystery.
Wait a minute. So you invented that
I
pattern on the top of the
invented
socks?
this pattern on the top of the socks.
Oh my gosh, you're so good.
See, it's just
I'm
fun.
so glad you learned.
I like it.
Okay, mystery set from Queen Emily. You were saying
This is the Quibbler Luna Lovegood colorway.
it came with the pink.
It came with the pink. Spectra Specs is what she called the little pink one.
That's
and
so cute.
Mom, you have a skein of this.
I do.
If
it's
you
waiting
ever
to be...
need it to be adopted, it is very fun to knit with, and I'll knit it.
I bet you would. Okay,
You should knit something to match me.
Becky has always had an affinity for Luna Lovegood because, first of all, she's a Harry Potter nerd, and the two of us kind of grew up together in Harry Potter. And then Becky worked at a Cub Scout camp that was called Harry's Magical Fort.
Oh my gosh.
And each one of the staff members was a character from Harry Potter, and Becky chose Luna Lovegood. So
Yes.
that's
Luna
one of the
will
reasons
always
I had to
have-
get the Luna one, because my baby
Always
is
have
Luna.
a place in my heart. Anytime we dress up for Harry Potter, like when the books and movies were coming out, you would dress up and go at midnight.
Right?
Luna Lovegood.
That's right.
I have Spectra Specs. I have radish earrings.
We can let them guess who I would be dressing up for Harry Potter.
Yeah. You can guess. Put it in the comments.
Hey, yeah.
People do this. Put it in the comments below.
Put it in the comments
after
below.
you like and subscribe.
So many people are going to watch this. Hi, we're podcasting. You want to come be a special guest star?
Nope.
Oh, okay. That's my son Aaron, the one that I made the blanket for that I was telling you about. It's mostly just Sam.
and
that's
I
gonna
made
watch
him.
this anyway.
I made him socks too.
That's right. That was another
But I didn't
finished
bring
object.
them.
Come around the back and you can see. Then you'd be in the picture.
He's shy. That's okay.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
Then we can
But yes, we love Harry Potter. Especially, I love Luna Lovegood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mom, do you want to tell them who you like to be?
No, because they're going to guess. We'll tell them
Oh
next
yeah,
time.
you're guessing in the comments down
Okay.
below.
We're such dopes. Seriously, if anybody watches this, I'm going to be surprised. Anybody besides our family. Yeah, so will I be. Okay, so I think we each have one more, FO?
Yeah,
Is that right? Okay, cool.
More.
So this is another finished object that I did. I was working on it last time, and the people in my knitting group have seen this one. It's so cute. There you go.
Yay!
Anybody who knows me knows that
that has bubbles on it.
just adore my little grandson. After all, I am the Granny Pan. And so I made this one for the next grand baby girl that comes along. And this is crochet.
Did you talk about Granny Pan, where your name is from?
We need to, don't we?
Okay, we'll do that at the end.
We'll do that at the end. Don't let me forget. And yeah, this is a whole bunch of little baubles. It's actually called the French knot dress.
Oh my goodness.
And I just think it's so precious. I was going to give it away to somebody else, but then I was like, no, this one needs to stay in the family.
What if they don't love it as good as I do?
What if they don't love it as much as Becky would love it? I know. So that's the thing is you know, it's a thing. You got to figure out if people really love the stuff that you make, because for some people homemade stuff is like, what? And for other people it's a treasure. And so you got to find those people who treasure it, and those are the ones that you make for, right? So that's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, I love this one. This one is actually made with yarn from 3 places. This top one is Malabrigo yarn, which is always an eye catcher, and I love it. So pretty. The second color that you see down here is made from a company, I think they're in Illinois, called Leading Men Fiber Arts. And I found them at a bazaar, what would we call it? Not a bazaar,
a
festival, a knitting show that was here in Salt Lake, called Stitches Salt Lake. And then the bottom one was knit by our friend Queen Deborah, who had a line called Candy Shop Yarns for a while. And I just think all of them are absolutely beautiful. So
they make good friends working together.
I think they're working together really well. So yeah. Okay, Becky, your last step.
Yay! Okay, this one is a huge accomplishment because, like I said, I like to start new things, and I started really knitting a lot 2 years ago, but I would make something here and there, like a little pair of glove or a scarf here and there. This one I actually started 3 years ago, so before I knit a lot.
What?
And I really thought I liked the way that lace looks. It's so pretty. I wanted to make that. I was a very beginner knitter.
I'm making faces because lace is hard even for people who've been knitting for a while. That's probably, at least this is my opinion. Some people think color work's harder than lace, but I think lace takes total concentration. It is not mindless knitting. You have to focus and count and be able to read the row that came before. And every time I try it, I screw it up. So I am just in awe that as a beginning knitter you would tackle that, Becky.
Yeah, so I decided to do this as a beginning knitter, and if you see the light behind it, you can see all those diamonds shapes in it. That's the lace. And the reason it took me 3 years to finish this, I finished this after we had a stay-at-home order.
It makes me so tired to look at that.
Because I was new, and like Mom said, I was making so many mistakes, and if I stare at this long enough, I'm sure I could find several in the first half that I had done. But I would knit some, and I'd get so frustrated, and I'd put it away and do other things. And then finally, now I'm at a point where I was like, you know what, I could totally make that now. Because I'm a professional knitteress.
We're not actually professional, but we're way better than we were.
No, but I was able to, I think since the beginning of the year, I've done this much. Since I picked it up and did a repeat. What we mean when we say repeat is like another row of diamonds. My goal was to do a repeat a week, and then by the end I was just going for it. Sprinting to the end, right?
There you go.
So there's my scarf. It took me 3 years to make it.
I need to wear it.
Oh, you can wear it, okay. I have no idea what the yarn is because 3 years ago I didn't know you were supposed to keep it so you could tell people. I didn't know that.
All we know is that it's pretty and
it's pretty.
It smells like wool.
It's wool. We got it on a yarn crawl. My mom used to take me to the yarn crawls where you go to all the yarn shops in like the valley and surrounding areas, and you buy something at each one and you get a punch card for a drawing. We did that a couple years. So
yeah,
this was one of the magic yarns that we found, and she got it for me.
It's lovely.
And now it's a thing that we can wear.
It turned into a thing.
I like it. Do you like it?
I think it's gorgeous. Are you kidding me?
Okay. It's not too short?
No. No, it's perfect. This is exactly how I like them because it's
Right around your
enough to keep your neck warm, but not so much that it's going to be everywhere. Because I have a Harry Potter one that I think I made 9 feet long. And
oh my goodness. How do you just wrap it around and around?
like a Doctor Who thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nerd.
That's cool.
Nerd
though.
alert.
Yay!
Okay,
That's
so
all my ones.
here's my fantasy knitting. Are you ready to see this one?
Yeah.
So I was watching a podcast and they were giving away a free pattern for a sweater that's not normally free. And so I went and got it. And, sorry, let me come over here. And then I thought, I'm just going to use stash yarn. And this one is going to be marled, kind of like what Becky was talking about. So
it's holding two together.
Holding two together. The name of it, which I've already bought it, it's on my iPad somewhere, is, help me out, the City Limits.
The City Limit.
Sweater.
Oh, yeah.
And I've already decided, I have a shirt that I wear every once in a while.
Tracy did?
Yes, Tracy Miller, again of Grocery Girls. She made this one, and I have a shirt I love that has short sleeves, and I don't mean short, they like come to your elbow, so they're not even a 3/4. 3/4 are the ones that come just below your elbow.
A half sleeve.
This one stops here. It's a half sleeve, and I think that's what I'm going to do on this sweater, because every time I wear it I think these sleeves are like the perfect length. So I think that's what I'm going to do with it. And these are the yarns that I have chosen.
Yay, I'll help you hold them.
You help me hold them up so that they're in the right order. And again, we're going to do hold this strand double and then swap out the color.
Yeah.
To make a marling,
So
and
it's
it'll be a
stripes.
marled striped sweater. This is the one that's going to be up closest to the face. This is from Yarn Cafe Creations. That's Christie's. And it's called Cocoa.
Yay.
So we'll start with that one, and then that one is going to fade into, dun-dun-da. Look how pretty. This is Honeydukes. Becky already talked about Honeydukes, and she and I got our Honeydukes right around the same time. They are so pretty. Look how pretty that one is. This is from Dragon Horde Yarn. Christie's daughter, Tristan, is Dragon Horde Yarn, and I'm going to marl these two together. And then after that one, I have another one that's a little purpley. Purple is seriously probably my favorite color. I love this. I love the color purple. And so this one is going to go after that one. This one is actually from another one of our favorite people, Lauren at Rhapsody Fiber Arts. And she just has done this. It's beautiful. When you unwind it, I'm not going to unwind it. It's like half gray, half purple. And so that should be just beautiful. After that one's done, I am going to blend in another one of Lauren's yarns. But this one, instead of being the kind of taupey gray and purple, is more of a smoky blue-gray with this teal color. So then we're going to really go for a shifting color. I think that's going to be so pretty when it's done. And then that one's going to switch into, I think, which one did I say, Becky? Now I don't remember.
I'll pull them both out. I think the green was last.
Yeah. So then we'll go to this one, which has a little bit more of the green color in there. And it's kind of an aqua color, and then it's got splashes of green. I'll show you the splash of green there. The colors look really pretty out here. I hope the sun doesn't set too soon. We've got to be done soon. This is from a company called Yarnaceous Fibers, and this is Maggie. She's another local dyer. Are you getting there? And she does mystery clubs too with her. The name of this one is Roaring 20s. She kind of has a dinosaur theme, so she does.
Love her dinosaurs.
She's doing a dinosaur egg mini thing right now that's really fun. And I'm going to finish it up with this last Dragon Horde yarn, another one of Tristan's. This one is called Medusa.
Ooh.
And it again has all kinds of, a little more green than the last one, but I think it'll make a really nice fade.
Okay, you hold the blues, I'll hold the
Yeah. So those are going to blend together to make my awesome
Yay.
sweater that I cannot wait to start as soon as the big green monster is done.
Yay! You know what I really love about this is that you have a skein from like all of our different friends.
I do.
Because we're friends with these people in like we've met them in real
like
life.
IRL.
We've sat and had a knit with them and share stories with them, and you know what? It just makes it more special when you know the person that has made the yarn, and so all their time and love and attention. And then, especially if you're knitting a pattern by another person that you love, all their time and attention, and then all your time and it's just like a triple threat.
Meaningful.
Lovely. I just love knitting, and I love having friends who
share the
beautiful
same passion,
things.
right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's so fun.
Okay, we're gonna put these back in the bag, and then we'll tell you the story of Granny Pan because we know you've all been waiting for the story. And then we will sign off. And
you need a bigger bag.
And I will get a bigger one. This I just was being quick about. So okay, because I definitely have bigger bags. I just haven't pulled them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the story of Granny Pan. So I told you at the beginning that my name is Wendy, and when I was tiny, it was 1967 when I was born. And I believe, I looked it up one time, Walt Disney's Peter Pan had come out probably in 1965, I think it was. And so when I was little, Peter Pan was kind of a big deal. We also have family history with Peter Pan. Becky's been in a production of Peter Pan, and my great aunt was a lady named Maud Adams, who was the first woman to play Peter Pan on stage. So Peter Pan's always kind of been a big deal. My name being Wendy, I can remember going over to my Granny Winsome's mother. So this was my great-grandmother who used to tend me when I was tiny like this, when I was just a toddler. She would read me the little books from Disney, the golden books about Peter Pan that were basically reiterating Disney's Peter Pan story. And I remember her reading it to me, and I remember looking at her and saying, well, here's the Wendy, where's the Peter Pan? And being worried that I couldn't find Peter Pan. And she looked at me and she said, you don't need a Peter Pan because you have a Granny Pan. And she started calling her, so that was the day that she was dubbed Granny Pan, and it just stuck with me, and I called her Granny Pan until she died when I was in college. So it was always Granny Winsome and Granny Pan. So when it came time that I was going to be a grandmother and Becky told me I was going to be a grandma, I said, well, there's only one name I can possibly go by, and that's got to be Granny Pan.
Granny Pan.
So I knew that I would be called
Do you remember how I told you I was expecting?
She made a picture of me in the Peter Pan hat. And so it was really cute. It was very cute. So I've always been excited to be the Granny Pan, and one day, when it's not COVID and I don't have a 22-year-old living in the room, I've actually converted a room into my basement into Never Never Land, so that he can play Granny Pan with me. Yeah, and it's pretty fun. I've had a friend of mine working on a mural down there, and so it's going to be awesome once it's finished. We'll show you. A few people have been down there seeing it, and they kind of know the progress of it, but it's going to be really awesome. So that's why we're called Granny Pan Knits. I am the Granny Pan, but Becky's just as important. We were trying to think of a name for her. You want to tell them the name you figured?
Oh, Becky's fine.
No!
I told her she could call me Tink, because that's knit spelled backwards.
Tink!
And I always make mistakes and have to knit it backwards. That's called tinking.
It's called tinking.
So you could
we
call me that when I make a mistake.
There's a connection between Peter Pan and knitting, Tink. So why not?
Funny.
Anyway, we need to sign off. We haven't thought of a sign off yet, but we just figured that so long as you're doing what you love, you never need to grow up.
Yeah.
You can call yourself Mommy Pan, Granny Pan, Peter Pan, whatever you want to call yourself. Just always stay young at heart. That's an important thing.
Yep. Stay young. Do what you love. Do what makes you happy.
That's right. It's a good thing to be happy. See you next time.